My name is Miguel Thomas Irvin Ibay. Our group leadership theory is situational leadership model. My contribution is about the general idea and definition of the situational leadership model, as well as a brief overview of the history of the model. Now, what is the situational leadership model? Well, in a single word, it can be attributed to flexibility or adaptability, meaning the leader would utilize a different style in order to suit the situation at hand or the followers that are in the situation. This model shows that the leader must have the understanding of the situation in order to change their style from one form to another. With that definition, we can see the connection that the situation has to the leader and the followers. The situation dictates how the leader deals with the followers and how the leader points the direction towards the end goal that the situation asks. To give more background, the name of this model was the life cycle theory of leadership, which was changed into SLT when that we now discuss. Two people, Blanchard and Hersey, have discussed, studied, and refined this model of leadership. One is Blanchard, who discussed the directive behavior or the what's and how's, as well as the supportive behaviors or the developing commitment initiative and positive attitudes. The model was even more refined later on to broaden its application to different levels of individual development. Blanchard and Hersey also developed four matrices within the model: telling leaders, selling, participating, and delegating. Now, another individual developed this model further, and his name was Goldman, who identified 6 styles within the model: coaching leaders, pace setting leaders, democratic leaders, affiliative leaders, authoritative leaders, and coercive leaders.
I am Revu Numar Antolin, and our group leadership theory is Situational Leadership Model. My contribution is about the behaviors of leadership. Situational leadership theory has evolved over time. As stated in recent version of the theory, effective leaders must base their behavior on development level of group members for specific tasks. Upon evolving, labels followed but have the same context for the two leadership behavior categories. Task behavior is one's initiating structure, while consideration is now relationship behaviors. Task behavior is when your actions are centered on the task, the job that needed to be done, individual or group work. Task behavior tells people how, what, when, and who will do it. On the other hand, relationship behavior is when your actions are centered towards relationship with your people. It includes listening, facilitating, clarifying, encouraging, explaining why a task is important, and providing support. There are situations that if the relationship level is high but the task level is low are very effective, while sometimes it's the other way around. High level of task but low level of relationship behavior works considerably well.
I am Angela Nathalie Aitelan, and our chosen group leadership theory is the situational leadership model. For my contribution, I will be discussing the 4 different levels of followers' readiness according to Hersey and Blanchard's model. For the leader to choose the appropriate style of leadership, it depends greatly on the follower's readiness. This is defined as the follower's ability and willingness to perform a particular task. Hersey and Blanchard identified 4 levels of readiness ranging from low, moderate, and high. R1 is the lowest, and this is where group members lack both the knowledge, skills, as well as the willingness to complete the task. R2 is when group members lack the ability but are willing and enthusiastic. R3 is where group members have the skills and capability to perform the task but are unwilling to take responsibility. And the highest, which is R4, is when group members are highly skilled and willing to complete the task. The components labeled as R1 and R2 are leader-directed, while the components labeled as R3 and R4 are follower-directed. These four components or segments are shown with a double-ended arrow at the top to indicate a continuum. The situational leadership model also suggests that the aforementioned leadership behavior styles should be paired with appropriate readiness levels among the team members. The pairing would be low readiness or R1 paired with telling or S1. Moderate readiness or R2 is paired with selling or S2. Moderate readiness or R3 is paired with participating or S3. And high readiness or R4 is paired with delegating or S4.
So now we're going to discuss the example of a real-life leader of situational leader theory. So, there are four examples of famous situational leaders, and these are General George Patton, who is one of American military's most revered leaders and a perfect example of situational leader. Second is John Wooden. Wooden is considered to be one of the best basketball coaches in the history of American college basketball. Third is Blanchard, who worked with organizations such as the Royal New Zealand Navy or the RNZN in order to improve operational and organizational success. And lastly is Jack Stahl, the president of Coca-Cola from 1978 to 2000.
I am Marijan K. Rabagaw, and our group leadership theory is the situational leadership model. I am here to discuss and share some situational examples of the said theory. It is said that any team environment with significant turnover provides a chance to apply the principles of situational leadership. Sport teams, for example, are strong representations of situational leadership since team members are continually changing. I remember when I was in 10th grade and I used to be a libero in our volleyball team. We were remarked as one of the best batch of the team, for we have fostered a good relationship with each other. We were able to determine the strengths and weaknesses of each member, which helped us to be a strong team. Our team captain was also good when it comes to her knowledge about the skills of each member. She has an eye to the overall vision of what our team wants to achieve and what our team is lacking, and she can be flexible when it comes to her leadership style in order for our team to work and improve our gameplay regarding the specific problem or difficulty that we are facing. Each style of leadership carries its own set of abilities, strengths, and weaknesses that must be considered before it is introduced. For the situational leader, they must be able to identify the skills required for each situation and then recognize the strengths and weaknesses that they can bring to the situation. Situational leaders are in a position to adapt. They prefer to be flexible about everything. Many will recognize the key strengths of their team, making it easier to assign people to tasks that are well suited to them. By taking these qualities, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses into account, it is possible to recognize areas of growth for situational leaders, which allows professional and personal development.